and I've got a little bit of a delay today, so I'll have to, hopefully it works out. Okay, it says we're on air. Hey guys, Spilling Ink here with another update on the KDP and CreateSpace merger. I am Katie Solitis, and of course you all know your favorite Spilling Ink host, Jason Lavelle.
Hello, everyone. It's me again, your favorite host. I mean, we don't talk about that today. There is another host on today. But we're back. Like Katie said, we're going to talk a little bit about the KDP merger that was going on. But first, I do want to remind you that Spilling Ink is brought to you by Book Branders, your self-publishing concierge. So thank you to Book Branders for the sponsorship. Man, Katie, I cannot speak today. I don't know. I've been drinking Gatorade all day. I think I'm dehydrated or something. I don't know. Maybe I need to go back to bed. Well, tell us what you got, Katie, because last time we talked about this, CreateSpace was dying. And they were telling us that everybody's got to jump on over to Kindle print now and get their books moved over. So what's been happening in the meantime?
Yeah, so they're actually doing a trickle-down approach. They sent out a lot of emails, but not a lot of people were actually getting the link when they went to CreateSpace to merge over, which makes sense because with as many people as they have to merge books over with, they can't do it all at once. It would overload their systems. Now, what a lot of people are seeing, though, is they got the email, they went to CreateSpace, they may have seen that link to merge, but didn't want to do it right then. And the next time they've gone back to CreateSpace, the link is no longer there. And that's been happening a lot. There have been a lot of reports of people saying, well, how do we merge it now? And you have one of two here. You can either wait because they'll move it eventually. CreateSpace is going. So eventually all the titles will be moved over automatically to KDP. Or you have to do the individual book approach, which means going into your Kindle dashboard and book by book, bringing the files over. I can tell you that's going to take a long time, especially if you have a huge backlist to do. So depending on how much control you want to have over the process, you may want to just wait and see if that link pops back up in another week or so, or until they do it automatically.
And last time we talked about this, I had gotten onto CreateSpace and I had the little banner right there that says, start moving your stuff over now. I was like, oh, okay, great. That's a good idea. But then I didn't do it. And so just before the show, when you were telling me about this little hiccup, I went back to CreateSpace and now that little link is gone. So I'm glad that we're talking about this because I would have gone back to do it eventually and kind of freaked out. But since we talked last time too, I've been thinking a lot more about Lightning Source and how to get going with them. And could you use them essentially as a replacement, or would you still use the KDP for doing your print book?
My thoughts have always been it's best to have the widest distribution possible. Now, going through KDP means you are going through Kindle. So obviously your books are going to be right there, easily accessible within the Kindle stores. However, when it comes to international and big box stores, Kindle and CreateSpace historically have not been as friendly with doing that kind of distribution. We talked last time about whether or not you own your ISBN can be the difference between getting into a big box store, because big box stores like I believe it's Chapters Indigo in Canada, it's Barnes & Noble in the USA. I'm not sure in Europe or UK what their big box store is, but a lot of them want to have the books to be returnable, and they have a set market discount that they require in order to be able to purchase your books, because they want them wholesale and they want the ability to return them if they don't sell. Going through KDP or CreateSpace, you cannot do that. So it makes it a little bit harder to get into those channels. Now, one thing that going through KDP does is there's a website out there called Book Depository. And I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with it, but Book Depository takes away that whole international shipping issue. So for instance, if you're wanting to buy a US version of a book and you live in the UK, shipping tends to be anywhere from $14 to $20 just for a single book. But if you go through Book Depository, you don't have to worry about the shipping. You just pay the retail price on the book. And Book Depository, being owned by Amazon, means that when your titles are sent through the Amazon system, they show up there a lot faster. So that is to your benefit. So it's, again, being on both sides of the spectrum is always going to be best for you. But a lot of people, CreateSpace and KDP have just been easier to use, and that's still an okay option.
Well, and speaking of international stuff, something you were just telling me, which is a little distressing, is that there are some some countries and continents, since Australia is both, that are going to be in a little bit of a bind here coming up pretty quick. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, the Australia is the one that's been really hit the biggest by this. The changeover, once they go to KDP, they're not able to order author copies and proof copies of their books through the Amazon AU system. And I believe it's tied to the tax law that went into effect, I want to say early July this year, having to do with some of the lower valued tax items and the way that they're taxed coming in and out of the country. I don't know how the law is worded, but a email that I have seen from KDP, and I'll read it to you word from word. It says, as you're aware, to remain compliant with the changes to the GST law in Australia, from July 1st, 2018, we have changed the way KDP authors in Australia access their books on Amazon. Authors can purchase retail copies of their paperback books through a global store option on Amazon.com/AU. However, proof and author copies will no longer be able to be shipped to Australia addresses. We apologize for the inconvenience that this may cause. Please note that these changes do not affect the ability to list your books on our international sites or have them shipped to eligible non-Australian addresses. So that really hits the people in Australia hard, because we all need to order copies of our books. And the option of having that wholesale option of ordering your books is what makes us able to go to trade shows or able to go to those smaller indie bookstores and maybe work a consignment deal to get our books on shelves with them.
Oh
So
yeah,
people in
'cause
Australia are going to have a big problem with that.
oh yeah, because it's not just proofing. You know, you think of author copies as okay, and I'm ordering this to make sure everything looks right, the formatting is good. But yeah, if you're going to a Comic Con in Australian City, insert Australian City here, and you need 50 copies of your book, well, guess what? Now you're ordering 50 copies at the customer price, plus paying the shipping to get there anyway, and then trying to sell them. And at that point, how in the hell are you hoping to even make your money back? That sucks.
Yeah,
That's a big deal.
a lot of what the local authors have to do at that point is they find a local offset printer and they'll have to order, say, 100 copies on their own and get them down to a wholesale price printing wise in order to do that. But again, the hassle of that makes you not want to go with that option.
Yeah.
Now, again, Lightning Source being the Ingram company,
That's
the
what I was going
indie
to ask
author
you.
version of Lightning is Ingram Spark. And I always use them interchangeably, but Ingram Spark is the indie author version of the Lightning group. And that is available to worldwide. So those authors could be looking at using Ingram as part of their switch over at this point now to make sure that they can still get their copies.
Now, when you because you use Ingram Spark, then that's how you use
I
that
use
system?
Ingram Spark and I was using CreateSpace interchangeably. So
Okay.
what I would do is I own my own ISBNs. So I would load the book onto Ingram Spark first. I would get it into the wide distribution channels. Then I would go over to CreateSpace, which now I'll have to go to KDP at that point. And I just select the Amazon channels only. Everything else is
Okay.
not selected, so that Amazon is getting the book first and Amazon will list it immediately. But for any other distribution worldwide, they're going through Ingram Spark.
Okay. And so you don't have to. So Ingram Spark and Lightning Source, they're all connected, aren't they? It's part of the same company, is that right?
Ingram is the parent company. Lightning
Okay.
Source is their bigger publishing arm. Ingram Spark is their smaller publishing arm.
Okay. Because I just actually yesterday got an email from my publisher with a paperback cover proof, and it was a template from Lightning Source, and they were asking me to make sure there were no errors on it, anything like that. So I was just looking through that, and I was like, you know what? I think I could probably handle putting this together using their template for future endeavors. But you're saying you would go through the Ingram Spark, and that's kind of our inlet as authors if we wanted to use it ourselves.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Exactly.
And then we could potentially, if you were in Australia, order author copies from them, right?
Yeah, it's my understanding that because Ingram is worldwide, they have the printing stations in different countries. So you're not ordering internationally at that point. You're ordering locally to you.
Oh, okay.
And
Okay.
that
Well,
keeps the costs
that's
down.
good to know. Yeah, and last time we talked about this, I was talking about paperback trim sizes because I have a couple paperbacks on CreateSpace that we're going to be going over to KDP, but I want to change them from 6x9 to 5x8 so that they match my other releases coming out. And I actually contacted CreateSpace, and they said that there's no way to change them. They said that changing the trim size, you're essentially going to need a new ISBN, because it's a new product. It's a different version of that book. So, which actually kind of made things a little bit simpler for me, because once KDP, ports my books over, I will simply, do the reformatting and upload the new version from there and retire that old one. But yeah, so that's interesting, the whole ISBN thing. And I wish that at the beginning that I had purchased my own ISBNs like you do. Because going forward, that would be great to have the control over them to do whatever the heck I want, and to have it not say published by CreateSpace or publisher CreateSpace, whatever it says. So yeah, I wish I'd done that. I did. And you said the 10 packs are at $300, something like that.
Yes. Yeah. At this point, they're about $300. They used to be a little bit cheaper, and inflation, they're going to go up, over the years. And I haven't done all of mine in using my own ISBNs. There was a time when budgeting is very tight and bookmaking is costly, where I have opted to use the CreateSpace ISBN. And for those books, when I'm ready to make the move and put them over into the Ingram system, it will have to be, just like you said, brand new product, brand new book. This is 100% new product because I didn't own that ISBN before.
Yeah. Yeah. And I made the classic mistakes that I'm sure you have at one time, and many other indie authors do. So if you are a newbie to this game listening, or if you're just getting started and learning how to publish, please take your time. I didn't take my time. I got really excited once my book was finally edited and ready to go, and I had that beautiful cover art, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go. And I'm just hard charging through it without doing enough research, without watching enough of these shows, and listening to my dogs bark like absolute bananas upstairs right now. Somebody must have just come home from school. But anyhow, take your time. Really do all the research you can. If you can afford to buy your own ISBNs, I think a single is $129, and for a 10 pack it's $300. And at the time that I published my first one, I didn't have any money. I'd spent all my money on trying to get it edited and formatted and buying a cover from somebody, and I didn't have another $100. And I said, oh well, CreateSpace will provide this for me for free. Why not? It seems like a no-brainer. But you're limited in I'm limited in what I can do with it now without starting completely over. So I really wish that I had shows like this that I could have been watching back then to really help me out. And I'm sure there were. I just didn't do it.
Now, speaking of shows helping out, we actually have Joe with Go Indie Now watching our show and posting some updates in our live chat. He's
Hi,
saying
Joe.
that Drafted Digital is offering to help indies with the transfer. And, I have to say, Drafted Digital is one of my favorites when it comes to wide distribution ebook aggregators. And I know we've talked about them before. And what they do is they take your book and they help you with the ebook formatting, and they help you access all of the various channels so that you don't have to go individually to each one. Now, some people like to go to Kobo by themselves. They like to go to Apple iBooks by themselves. They like to go to Google Play and do each one individually. And that's a great option if you've got the time and you want to do that. But a lot of us are pinched for time, and it's easier when reporting is done in a single format. Drafted Digital is excellent with that because they do send your book out to all the different channels. They do create all the reports, tell you who's selling what where. And for, I believe, a 10% is all they take off of your royalties.
Okay.
In order to do this,
This sounds a lot like
formatting help. They are very much like Smashwords. Smashwords was the grandfather. They started it. And I do use Smashwords still for some things, but Smashwords never updated. They never made themselves pretty and easy to use, whereas Drafted Digital went right for it from the beginning. When they came on board, they had an easy to use system. Their templating was beautiful. They didn't require a book that's like this thick to read in order to format your document for the meta grinder that Smashwords uses. So they made it easy, and they do the same thing. They share with all the different channels. Now, like I said, I use both still because Smashwords has a couple of channels that Draft to Digital doesn't. So when you're going wide, you do kind of cast the widest net possible. Neither Smashwords nor Draft to Digital have access to Google Play yet. So I've recently found Publish Drive that accesses Google Play. So there's a lot of different channels to work with on the ebook side.
Now, Publish Drive, is that who it is?
Mm-hmm.
Publish
That
Drive.
one's a brand new one. I can post a link in our comment section below about that one. What they do is they focus more on the European markets, which is great, but they also have Google Play. And I know a lot of people last year when Pronoun went down weren't able to access Google Play. I was one of those. I never grandfathered into the system. So whenever I try and access Google Play, I'm still put on that eternal waiting list. But with Publish Drive, they will get you into Google Play Store, which is important. That's another big one out there.
Okay. It's funny to me that it's easier to get into iBooks than Google Play. That cracks me up. And you're not an Apple person, so you wouldn't really get the joke, but it's kind of Android devices and PCs compared to Macs are kind of like the Wild West. In Mac land, everything is nice and neat and manicured and vetted by Apple, and it's got to be perfect. But so it's so weird that it's really easy to get into iBooks and Google Play, which is just kind of like no man's land. You can hardly touch it. But who reads on Google Play anyway? I'm curious. I mean, I don't. Do you?
There's a lot of people apparently that read on Google Play. I've seen a lot more sales spikes since I've jumped into Google Play than I've seen on some of the other channels. Now, as much as I hate Apple, they are my second biggest seller when it comes to the wide distribution. So I can't hate on them too much. But yeah, I'm not an Apple person, not a Mac person, and I can't get into the iBooks store without that. So Draft to Digital or Smashwords has always been my way in for that.
Well, in the thing about Apples and Macs that a lot of people get confused about is that the machines aren't better. It's not better hardware. They're not better cameras or speakers or keyboards or anything like that. In fact, especially when it comes to phones, the Android phones are usually far more advanced as far as the hardware is concerned. It's the software where the difference comes in, where things just work the way you're supposed to. If you're using iBooks, doesn't matter where you are, whose device you're on, whatever. You could be out at the beach. You click that you want to buy something, and you're reading it on your phone. You're reading it on your laptop. You're reading it on your Apple TV, and it's all seamless, and you don't have to think about it. It does the thinking for you. But it also makes it a little bit more of a challenge if you need something that's other than the norm. If you need something other than what's average, you're kind of screwed because these programs, there's no flexibility in them. You can't make your own changes. You can't write in things to make them happen. But yeah, they're still better, Katie. They're still much better. All right. So what else do we have on the merger? Did you have anything else you wanted to tell us?
Well, we talked about the fact that Australians are going to have problems getting their proof copies and author copies. I'm happy to say that Canadians no longer have that problem.
Proofs. Woo, we love Canada.
Copies. Yes, that's a big one too, because Canada is a huge market, and for them to kind of be, on the sidelines of the system and not be able to get their proof copies is really bad. We've talked to how many Canadians on this show. Canada is very author friendly. They're very arts friendly, and we love them.
Yeah. Well, I know they've got. Canada has 10 or 12 people in it, and we've had almost all of them on the show, so it's pretty awesome. It's a good country from what we've seen. But you know what? I was just thinking of something else. All of this talk about Australia, but I just learned recently that Australia isn't even real, that it's actually a hoax. Have you heard that?
Are you reading the Flat Earther websites again?
No, those Flat Earther websites, man, they're fascinating. If you're a Flat Earther out there, please contact me because I want to talk to you. I think you guys are fascinating. I really do. I'm kind of like the psychologist on that movie Split, and you guys are like one of what's his name's James McAvoy's personalities, and I want to talk to you because I think you're extraordinary. But anyhow, no, Australia apparently isn't real. This is just this hoax made up by, I think it was the British that made up the hoax, and that it just keeps being perpetuated for years and years and years. So people that post pictures of Australia and their vacations there, it's all lies. They're all part of this system that is made to deceive you. It's true. True
Well, then I
story.
guess they don't have to worry about not being able to get author copies.
That's right. That's what I was thinking. These are just British people and at home. They can get them no problem.
I'd love to see the comment section after that. So our actual live chat today is going really well. We've got Joe giving us lots of great information on how Draft to Digital works. And I have to echo everything that he says. Draft to Digital is wonderful. Their formatting is excellent. They make it easy for you to format your books for ebooks, as well as print formatting.
As well as print formatting.
What are you saying? You're whispering over there.
You told me we were doing an echo game.
No. So, like I was saying, they also help you with print formatting, and that's something that a lot of people don't know how to do, and sometimes don't have it in their budget to get their book formatted to fit the trim sizes for print. Draft to Digital has an option that will give you a reasonably formatted book. Now, it's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be what you're going to get from a professional formatter, but it will fit within the parameters of the KDP system. So if you're looking for that kind of help, Draft to Digital does it for free. And that's the big important thing right there, free.
Yeah. Although we just talked about the ISBNs, sometimes free is not the way to go, even when you're on a budget, because now I'm regretting the ISBN things and the formatting. I mean, I've paid for print book formatting for every book I've done, and I'm glad that I did, because every time I try to do it, I end up messing up something. But that's why we have companies like Book Branders, who's our sponsor, who also does I think they do print formatting, don't they?
Actually, I'm one of their formatters, so yes.
Are you really? No way. What?
Yeah, I'm one of the team members over at Book Branders, and for internal formatting, there's me and DJ that both handle that, as well as they do anything. It's a la carte, completely a la carte. Whatever you need to get your book ready for the marketplace, and even afterwards, the marketing, they will help with. We have editors on our team. We have book formatters. We have cover artists. We have social media experts. We can do whatever you need to get your book out there.
Interesting. Now, what kind of credentials do you bring to the game? What qualifies you to produce the paperback formatted file for my book?
Well, I've been a formatter for going on 10 years now, so I have plenty of testimonials from clients that I've worked with. In fact, that's where a lot of my KDP updates have been coming from, is clients are emailing me going, okay, I know you did my book and I uploaded it and now I'm having to move it to KDP. What do I do? So I've been talking them through a lot of these changes and updates.
Okay, I guess that's acceptable.
Going on over there. I'm waiting for the smoke to start rising from your ears.
I don't have that much brain space left today. Oh, and then was working at the vet's office this morning, and it was just absolutely bonkers there. So I feel like my brain is already fried.
And then we bring you on live.
Yeah, right. Just came home to do a little bit of writing for an hour.
Nope, not allowed. Now, speaking of writing, I do want to make an announcement. I don't know if any of you guys saw the video that Jason kind of snuck in there last night. He didn't even tell us he was doing it, but he's going to be teaching you some instructional videos on how to write.
Mm-hmm.
How to write good and stuff.
Yes, that's right. How to write good words and stuff. Yeah, and they're mostly just little tidbits that kind of helped me out. And I've asked our other hosts here, except for Katie, because she doesn't know what she's talking about. But I asked the other hosts kind of for some of their advice too on what to talk to you guys about. So yeah, so I'm just going to put up little quick 10-15 minute videos here and there to help you guys out with the writing game. And because it's not all about marketing and everything else. That's a big part of it, but we got to get the writing done first, and we want to get your book out there. And if I can help you guys the way people helped me, then I think that'll be really great.
Now, what we'd like to ask the viewers as well is, if you have topics that you would like us to touch on, post them in the comments below or send us an email at spillinginkshow@gmail.com. and let us know what you want us to talk about, and we will work on making some videos to help you out.
And alligators. If you guys want to talk about alligators, I actually know a lot about alligators. I used to have an alligator as a pet. His name was Whiskers. He was phenomenal. I dressed him up one Halloween as Abraham Lincoln. And guess what I called him, Katie? Guess.
Oh, no.
Gatorham Lincoln.
There it is.
It was amazing. I'll post a picture. Yeah. He was awesome. I think
Why
it was.
does none of this surprise me?
But anyhow, so if you need to know about alligators, I'm your man. But I do have a serious question for you or for anyone else out there, Joe, if you're still watching. I need, for this book that I'm writing a thriller, and it's kind of a Jack Reacher type book. But I need a technological advisor, I guess you could say. Like, I need someone to read through this and help me out with some of the technology stuff that I might know, specialized military things that maybe I don't know, or how you would track this enemy through a city to here that's realistic, that I don't necessarily know, because all I know is what I've read and seen in movies. So I need to find some kind of advisor, some kind of consultant. How do I go about finding that kind of person? Do I go on Fiverr?
I would bet, because there are Facebook groups for writers of all types. There's Facebook groups dedicated to legal advice for authors, and not just the legal advice on contracts, but what would a lawyer do in a story type legal advice. I bet you could go through and find groups dedicated to sci-fi, technology, specifically for authors, where you could find advice to just about any kind of question you have to ask.
But my character's name is Simon. Do you think there is a group that
Simon
would work with it? I mean, do you think a group would be okay with that name, Simon?
No.
No? Oh, God. You're just about as helpful as you are every week, Katie.
I try to maintain that even keel. You know what to expect from me.
And then you're not even showing up for work this Saturday. Did I get that right?
I'm sorry. I've been fighting. I don't know if you guys can tell. I have been fighting laryngitis for like 2 weeks now. So I've got to try and get this out of my system, and then I will be back normal as ever, perky, happy, and hopefully not sounding like I just smoked 20 packs of cigarettes.
Yeah, and it's just a coincidence that it so happens that the Magic Mike tour is going to be in Las Vegas on Saturday.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's what I thought. All right, well, we are going to be back on Saturday, myself and J.E. Taylor, and we're going to be talking with, oh, man, I don't even have my list of who we're going to be talking with, but we're going to be talking with more people.
It's going to be the Las Vegas invasion, actually. It's 3 Vegas authors coming on this weekend.
Nice. I like it. Is Tim coming on as well? Is he one of them?
No, Tim's not coming on. Without the list in front of me, I don't know, but it is 3 Vegas authors.
Okay, cool. I like Vegas people. They seem like they're all right.
We can be.
All right, well, guys.
Any more questions regarding the KDP merger, post it in the comment section below, and we will try and answer your questions. If we have enough to do another show update, we'll do another show update. Otherwise, look for Jason and J.E. Taylor on Saturday.
All right, guys. Have a good day, everybody. Thanks for tuning in.